Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkrupatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavadgeeta ki Jai. So, for this course, we are going to use the book Bhagavad-Gita as it is. So it's also available online. And those of you who wanted to buy the book, we can send you the link and you can buy this. So I personally like to have a copy. In that way, we can make notes and we can highlight points in our first study. And then we can continue on that, working on that. So this Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. So there is no addition, interpretation, deletion in this. This is written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So how he happened to write this book? So this book is translated into more than 100 languages, right from Siberian to Ukrainian to Russian to dialects in Chinese, Mandarin to Spanish, all European languages, and of course, all Indian languages. So that shows this book speaks the topics that is universally applicable, irrespective of where you come from, which background you come from. So the author of this book, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he was born in 1896 in Kolkata, and when he met his guru, 1922, 102 years before, he asked him to please take this knowledge and write it in English so that everybody a language shouldn't be a barrier for anyone and everyone to access this knowledge. It's not about Sanskrit or about shlokas. It's about what is in it and what do I get from it to enrich my life and my family, my society, my country, humanity at large. So after 40 odd years, 43 years, he traveled to United States in 1965 at the age of 69, when most of us would retire. And then he wrote this based on the commentaries from previous acharyas. So that's where he did not put his own ideology or anything like that. So he has, there is a Sanskrit a shloka and a word by word Sanskrit meaning for each word. And then there is a translation. So we can see the authenticity of the translation and the word by word meaning in the Sanskrit. And how do I apply this in life? That is the commentary. So in fact, he wrote this 2 times, the whole of 700 shlokas, the commentary for 700 shlokas, and both the times the manuscript were lost. But he did not give up. He persevered and wrote again. And then it was published first in 1968. And during these years, when he wrote this, he was between 70 and 80 years of age, between 65 to 77. And he set up the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which has worldwide more than 800 temples now. Temples are cultural centers for learning. And he himself established in those 10 years 108 temples, published more than 80 books, and there were 5,000 disciples from various backgrounds. So his books are translated in 80 languages, and more than 1 billion books are sold worldwide. So we offer our respects to him and seek his blessings. So the overview of this course will be, we will take an overview of a chapter a day. So it will be Monday to Saturday, 6 days a week. It will be a little strenuous, but we want to do it at a stretch because this is like a story, a novel. So we don't want breaks in the novel from one chapter leading to another chapter and what is the flow in it. And then there will be a question and answer session after the end of the class. The class will go for about 1 hour. And then the question and answer could be 1 hour or even more. You can raise your hands or put the questions in the chat. So it's a recommended the pre-read of the chapter. Don't worry about the shlokas or even the explanation, the purport, but even if you just read the translations, it will, that's 3 dark lines under the shloka. Those you have books, and we have also sent the online link. So even if you read that, which will not take more than 20 minutes on an average, that should help in understanding the overview better. And at the end of each chapter, a quiz will be posted in the group, and you can attend the quiz. That will help us understand how much we have grasped from this chapter. It's a simple MCQ quiz. And we will also review the chapter after the overview. And if you have any questions, you can write to the admins and put it in the chat as well. Yes, so this will be the course structure. And there are Bhagavad Gita is read by Thoreau, Emerson, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, people who made a difference in the world. So we can see that, the great scientist Einstein saying that when I see the knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, everything else seems so superfluous. And Mahatma Gandhi says that we have seen Gandhi's photo with the picture. He always finds a words to comfort him in overwhelming sorrow. That's the art of living happily, right? Ultimately, everybody's goal is to live happily. But I mean, every day there are so many uncertainties and unexpected things that come up and prop up in our life. And Bhagavad Gita equips us. This is a metaphysical science that deals about various layers of our existence, harmonizing everything with proper understanding, and also giving it, and also we can practice it very easily, being from where we are. So you must have all seen this cover page of Bhagavad Gita. There are huge armies, and there's a chariot, and Krishna is talking to Arjuna in the chariot. So before going to the introduction, we will even see why read this Bhagavad Gita. We know Bhagavat comes from the root word Bhagavan. Bhagavan means God. Bhagavat means gods. Gita is song. So God's song, okay, it's written in a poetical form, but it speaks not only about God, about us, and about everything else that's connecting God and us. Of course, it's a holy book. It has to be kept holy, covered in a proper thing. We know that, but that doesn't mean that it should be only done like that. If Krishna has told a word for us, the way to worship the Bhagavad Gita is by intelligence. So Krishna says, those who read Bhagavad Gita worship me by their intelligence. So if by just keeping Bhagavad Gita at home, it's going to give us so much benefit because the word of God is there, and that's not different from God. How much would we derive by reading it, by understanding it, and by applying it? So that's why it's not a theoretical book, but it's a manual of human life. Suppose we get some new gadget or new furniture, say you've ordered in Amazon and it's come, and there's a manual, there are 1,000 screws and other things, how to fit in that. So without using the manual, it's going to be hard to figure out on our own. So Bhagavad Gita is a friend for us. It's a manual for human life, every one of us. So it's something that if we learn the art, how to study Bhagavad Gita and how to apply it in our life, it's going to, it's like we can lead a life with a manual. Otherwise, without a manual, we are lost. So many things told by so many people, this and that, and what's right and what is wrong and what should apply to me. So the concepts, it's a custom made book, but it's a conceptual book. But when you read it, you can see that you're speaking to God. Everybody goes, has some way of worship, some way of speaking to the Lord, praying, going to the temples or in our own houses, making a prayer. But do we hear God talking back to us? This is Bhagavad Gita. If we want to hear God talking back to us, then He has already done that in Bhagavad Gita. But when I read Bhagavad Gita, it is customized to my um, circumstances. And when you read, it's customized to yours. And that's why it is transcendental and it is not unidimensional. It's a book, but it's same way a custom made book that is for our benefit, that fits our purpose. So if somebody asks you, tell me 2 lines from Bhagavad Gita, what is the crux of Bhagavad Gita? So we should be able to tell that, right? Without searching for Google or Wikipedia and answer in that. So this is a book that should be applied. So when we apply the book, then the next level, then we will learn even more deeper. Then we apply the book, then more mysteries are opened when we read again. How many times we should read the book? As many times as we breathe, or even more than that if possible. Because it's a manual and life throws so many challenges. If we don't know what is there in this book and how we can apply that, um, then what's the use of reading it, right? It's spoken some 5,000 years ago by Krishna to Arjuna, but it is transcendentally time tested. It is applicable even now and it will be applicable forever. So why read Bhagavad Gita? Right? Where is the position of Bhagavad Gita in the Vedas? So we know that Vedas are the manual of the world, and Vedas are called Apaurushaya in the Sanskrit, which means that it is not written by any human beings. So it doesn't have the faults of the human beings. So we all have, it is mentioned in the scriptures that nobody can claim that my senses are perfect, or I've never committed a mistake so far in my life, and I don't have a cheating propensity, especially in social media. You know, everything we buy, we do is how am I going to post in my Instagram and Facebook on how many likes we have. But what is reality may be different from what it is. So there is some amount of propensity to show, and we are also subject to illusion. Sometimes what is there, even if we see, we may tend to take something that is not there, like mistaking a rope for a snake or something like that. So whatever produced by a human being is will reflect these faults, but the Vedas or the knowledge which is coming from the Lord himself is beyond these defects. So, is the Vedas accessible now? Yes, we all may know the name of the Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. But what is told in that? In what language it is told? How is it applicable? So there are so many compounds to the explaining the Vedas. There is Shruti, there is Smriti, there are Itihasas and Puranas and 108 Upanishads, all this to explain the concepts of the Vedas in a form that everybody can understand. So what is the position of Bhagavad Gita in it? This is also called Gita Upanishad. Sarvo Upanishado Ghavo. If all the Upanishads take the form of a cow, Dogda Gopalanandanaha, the cowherd boy is milking the cow. Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta, Partha or Arjuna is a calf who is drinking that milk. And what is this milk? Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. So basically, if all the Upanishads, which is the essence of the Vedas, are taking the form of a cow, and the milk is the essence of the cow. So if we read and understand Bhagavad Gita, then we are getting the essence of the Vedas. It's just the 700 shlokas. But all these components of the Vedas it will fill a football stadium. That much huge amount of literature is there. But if we want to know, what is the essence of it, then when we read and understand Bhagavad Gita, we get it. So if you Google Bhagavad Gita, it says holy book for Hindus. But is it holy book for Hindus? Then there should be one word Hindu, okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the shlokas, or in any of the Puranas or Itihasas or anything. But you will be surprised to find there is no word Hindus in any of the Puranic Vedic literatures. People from the other side of the Sindhu River, when they crossed and came into India, they called the Aryan civilization, which was living on the other side of Sindhu River, as Sindhus. And then it became Hindus. And now it makes sense why it is not there in any of the scriptures. Rather, this form of science is called Sanatan Dharma. Dharma, religion cannot be Dharma cannot be translated as religion. Religion is maybe a means of faith. Today, somebody may have faith in Hindu and then he may become converted into other religions if he develop faith in that literature, Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or a Buddhist, right? So, but this dharma does not mean that faith, which can change according to the mentality and the situations. What does dharma means? Dharma means intrinsic value of something. Okay, something that is inseparable, characteristic. For example, heat and light are the dharma of the fire. Liquidity is the dharma of the water. Heat and light cannot be separated from the fire, and there is no meaning to water if liquidity is separated, right? So, dharma is something that is so intrinsic, inseparable characteristic of the living entity. Who is the living entity? Who is Sanatana? Sanatana means eternal. There is no beginning and no end. So basically, Bhagavad Gita will describe, starting from the second chapter, that who are we? That's the first topic that is described. And it is mentioned that we are souls, the life force, we continue to live constantly. There is no end to our living. The end can be for this material body, which is like a shirt or a covering. But there is no end to the life force that is making this body live, that is ourselves. So if we see that what is that intrinsic quality that cannot be separated from every living being, be it a plant or a tree or an animal or a human being, that can be called as Sanatan Dharma. What is that? I mean, that's explained in the introduction part of it. I'm just giving you a gist that everybody, if I ask you, okay, I'll give you an island. Everybody likes to buy island and go there in a private jet, but for a vacation for a short time. But if we say that you get to live there forever, but with nobody around you, no human being, would any of us opt for it? No, because we live in a society and our quality is to serve someone. So the family serves the family, the husband, wife, and the children. And the family as a unit serves the society. The society as a unit serves the country, like this. So everywhere there is this tendency of service. The tree lives to serve. The tree gives the fruit, it doesn't eat. The animals, even tigers, live to, we can see that, living to serve the cubs and the family members. So the other animals like cows, they live to serve themselves and also give milk to the human beings. So the service can be called as an intrinsic quality of the living being. Now we tend to serve different people and different ways, and ultimately nobody whom we serve is satisfied. Neither when some people serve us, we are satisfied, because we are putting the service in a wrong place. But when we all understand that we are eternal living beings and we are part and parcel of the eternal person, and we try to serve that eternal whole from whom we are all part and parcels of children, that is called Sanatan Dharma. So this book, Bhagavad Gita, teaches us how to water the root of the tree so that the whole tree is automatically nourished. We don't see the root, but the root is the cause of the existence of the tree. So when we water the root, automatically the tree is nourished. When we water the root of this material existence, which is the Supreme Lord, automatically everyone is served and is pleased. So that's why it can be applied to any religion, right? Religion is a way to know God, to understand God's mind, and ultimately love God. So Bhagavad Gita is the science of living in a harmony with God, with nature, with all the other beings around us. So conceptually, Bhagavad Gita describes 5 concepts intertwined with a relationship between them. So first is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Controller, but we will be surprised. This doesn't start until 7th chapter. The first 6 chapters are about us, the living entity who are part and parcel of the Ishvara, and what are we doing here? How are we born? Why are we created? What is this material nature? And how does it function? That is Prakriti. Then there is something called a time factor, which is controlling all of us. 25 minutes have gone, and I have still 1 hour of material to do. So we are all chased by the time. So, so that is a time factor, and that is also described in the 8th chapter. And most importantly, this topic of karma, because ultimately everything boils down to what we are doing. What are the actions we are doing? What is the action? What is the science of action? What is the science of reaction? And what actions we are supposed to perform so that we can be happily situated in this material world. So, now we come to chapter 1. Before that, we'll do a short, there is a page in the book, the first explain a short 1.5 page summary of the Itihasa Mahabharata, which was of course has 100,000 Sanskrit verses. I love this summary because it's so comprehensive. So we all know Mahabharata, but just to set the scene. So we know Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura were brothers. Dhritarashtra was born blind. So according to the rules of the king, if the king has any disability, then he won't be able to give proper justice without depending on someone else. And that may cause a problem in ruling properly. So the niti, or the rule of the king says that if the first child born has a disability, then the kingdom goes to the second child, who's Pandu. So it is not based on birth. It is based on the qualification that we are suited to work. Then Pandu's sons were the 5 Pandavas: Yudhishthira, the just person; Bhima, the strongest person; Arjuna, the best archer; Nakula, the most handsome person; Sahadeva, the most wise. And then Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, starting with Duryodhan. And Duryodhan always, from the beginning, he had this comparison attitude and a lamentation and hankering, and oh my God, um, so he always saw his cousins as his enemies, as competitors. And Dhritarashtra, in one sense, coveted that. I couldn't get the kingdom. Let the kingdom that belongs to the Yudhishthira, who is the eldest of all the Kurus and who's also the son of Pandus. After Pandu's death, they all came, and Dhritarashtra became the interim king. You will see this. Anybody who comes interim minister, they don't want to have that post interim. They want to somehow or other keep that. So, Duryodhan, from the beginning of his life, it is said that every day he would get up to plot how to kill the Pandavas. And every day Vidura would communicate that by signs and languages to the Pandavas. So, with their alertness, they survived their life. And this was every day that's happening. And then there was an episode of building Yudhishthira was crown prince, and Duryodhan couldn't take it. So he went and told his dad, "You need to do something about it." So then they put him in they gave them a vacation house. But the problem was that vacation house it was made of lac or wax, and it would immediately crumble down. With the intervention of Vidura, they were able to escape that. Everybody else thought Pandavas were dead until Arjuna won Draupadi. Then everybody knew that the Pandavas were not dead and they are alive. So they were, Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra were forced to call them and give them half part of the kingdom, which was like a desert, but which was later called as Indraprastha, rivaling the beauty of the kingdom of Indra. Then they performed a Rajasuya Yajna there, inviting everyone from the universe. Duryodhan was given the department of getting and gifts. The more gifts he received and stored, his envy burnt. Then he went back and he said that the Dhritarashtra said, okay, don't worry, we will make a Rajasuya Yajna. But Duryodhan said that wouldn't make them rid of what they got. And this is jealousy. He didn't eat or sleep for 7 days. And then with the help of Shakuni, they made a dice game that was rigged. And it's like a quicksand, gambling was. So everything was kept in stake. Draupadi was kept in stake. And Draupadi was lost. And before Draupadi could ask justice that this is not proper, she was the only lady in the whole Sabha. You can imagine, even now, we can't touch anyone. We are teaching children about touches that are harmful. There, before the whole Sabha, only man, she being only lady, Duryodhana, on the advice of Karna, ordered her to be stripped naked. And I mean, I didn't get you, so you should be destroyed. So that's the mentality. And we know how Draupadi surrendered to the Lord, calling him for help, raising her hands up, and Dushasan kept pulling, and there were piles of saris that kept on coming. Then after that, so many things happened. Then they went to the forest, and even in the forest, many attempts were made to insult them, kill them, and they were tolerant and patient all throughout. After all this also, Yudhishthira and the Pandavas were on the noble path, or were on the path of Dharma. They did not swerve even a bit. So finally they came and asked for, give us we completed the deal, 12 years of living in the forest and 1 year living in incognito. And then we are back now. But Duryodhan said, I wouldn't give you a land in which I can drive the pin also. Then Krishna himself went for the peace mission. Duryodhan wanted to arrest Krishna, and then he understood. I mean, he didn't understand, but he was not successful. So even at this point of time, Pandavas tried all peaceful methods. But now war was inevitable. Duryodhan wanted the war because he wouldn't give Pandavas their share. And as Kshatriyas, they had to rule their kingdom. That was their duty. So then they were forced to come to the war in spite of their unwillingness to do so. So this is where the first chapter starts. So the first chapter acronym is doubt. The first 12 verses speaks about the mentalities of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. And then what was the results about how the war actually started, everyone blowing conches, and what it meant to each one of them. And then Arjuna is asking Krishna to put his chariot, and then so many volumes of thoughts come into the mind at that point of time when he is in the middle of the two battlefield, and he is bewildered. And finally, he's putting forth so many arguments. And then finally, he says that I don't think I can even stand on the chariot, let alone fighting. So that is a last section. So we'll see how Dhritarashtra's, this is the first text, first chapter. Those who have the book, they can refer to it. It is after the introduction, page number 31. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakah pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. Dhritarashtra uvacha. We saw who is Dhritarashtra, right? He was the father of the Duryodhana. He's saying, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. They're all assembled to there is a place called Kurukshetra, which is Dharma Kshetra, which is a holy place. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, all those have assembled there. But usually in this holy place, everybody assembles there to perform a sacrifice. Even the demigods, they come. But here, they are assembled to fight, Yuyutsavaha. Who are all those parties who have assembled to fight? Mamakaha, my sons. Pandavaha, Pandu's sons. And Kim Akurvata, what did they do? Sanjaya, oh Sanjaya. Who's Sanjaya? Sanjaya is the secretary and the chariot driver of Dhritarashtra. And Vyasadev, Vedavyas, he said that Dhritarashtra, I would give you divine vision. Sitting in your palace, you can watch what's going on in the battlefield. But Dhritarashtra said, I'm so scared. I don't want to watch the match. Like in the last ball when they throw, people will close their eyes. I don't want to hear the failure. I don't want to do this. So he said, please, oh Gurudev, please give that vision to my secretary, Sanjaya. So how is it possible? How is it possible now that we are all connecting from various parts of the world and we are able to see each other, hear each other, and see each other with the technology? So same way, that technology was there in a much subtler form. They didn't need the screens. It will just come up in the ether for Sanjaya to look. That is a divine vision from his heart. So he started asking Sanjaya, but what did he ask? Does it make sense? So it is like this, like if we are boiling milk, that's an auspicious activity to do in housewarming. So that's a Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. It's a holy place. And what's happening in the holy place? He is dividing. Mamakaha Pandavaha, putting lemon in the hot milk. We say, right? Dividing the family members into like making paneer. Why he should divide? Because his younger brother's children, the younger brother has passed away. Technically, he should be taking care of them as his own children. And in fact, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will see that how Yudhishthira, every day after the war, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari was alive, until Vidura came and gave him nice dose to get out of the family, Yudhishthira would come and first offer his obeisances to Dhritarashtra. He made no distinction. But Yudhishthira makes Dhritarashtra makes the distinction. Mamakaha and Pandavaha. Like, we always have favoritism. Suppose we are in a job and we are doing an interview to fill up a post, right? There may be a candidate who is nicely fitting, but there may be someone whom we know. Okay, we might like get some recommendation or they're giving us some money. It happens everywhere. So they just take the bribe and give the things to that, and then they build a bridge, the bridge collapses. They become doctors and they do a thing on the patient dies. So we see this favoritism, okay, mine, I, me, and mine. So this was there in Dhritarashtra. And suppose I give the rasgulla to someone, and then they ask, what did they do? I mean, what will someone do if he gets a plate of nice looking rasgulla? He will eat. So how does it make sense? He's coming and asking that in the battlefield, desiring to fight, my sons and the sons of Pandus are coming together. But what did they do? Because of his deep attachment to Duryodhan, he knew what Duryodhan is doing is bad. He knew dharma prevails. But because of his attachment to Duryodhan, and he puts his ego in Duryodhan, what I couldn't achieve, let him achieve by hook or crook. Let me help him. So that is the blinded by affection, comparison. Like we always compare. If my child comes home and says, I got this much mark, before that he will say, that person has got that much mark, this person has got this much mark, that will be 2 marks less than what he has. because he knows next what he's going to get. So this comparison comes from blind affection. That doesn't mean that we should be detached from the family, but there should be a dharma that we uphold to. When if we are up, we know what is dharma and what is right, we will have the ability to say no, whatever the cost. But he wasn't able to do so because of his blind affection. He couldn't put down in his feet. It's like this, like a baby is screaming and a doctor has to give the injection. It's going to hurt the baby, right? But still the doctor would go ahead and give the injection shot because it's going to help. But if the doctor decides it's going to hurt the baby, let me not do it. This is million times, magnified of that. Had he only stopped Duryodhan, he would have protected Duryodhan, protected his 100 sons, the death of 100 sons, and end of the Kuru dynasty at all. So he was blinded by affection. And that's why, even though he heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, you see, he's the first one asking. And Sanjaya, the last sloka is told by Sanjaya. But still, because of the affection, and he wanted something so passionately, he wanted what he wanted, not what was told. So that became like a curtain for him, stopping the flow of knowledge to him. So this is, further explained in other chapters. So when we have a prejudice, when we think that, Bhagavad Gita is this, based on what I thought and what I heard, then if you're not open to knowledge, then even if we listen to the whole Bhagavad Gita, we may not derive much meaning out of it. And he was partial, right? He knew they were, no matter what they did, he was with them. He was visibly partial, and he cannot agree that the Pandavas would be victorious at all. He cannot take it. So he's asking, what did they do? Why? Because he was having the hope against hope that somehow or other my children should win, because it's like it's a holy place. Holy place will support the holy people. It's like the home ground pitch. Home ground pitch supports the team, the home team, right? So similarly, he's thinking Pandavas are known for their nobility, and I hope, this doesn't favorably tilt towards their result. Or what if Duryodhan had a change of mind and, maybe did peace with them and gave them half the kingdom? So he had a doubt. And because of this, because of all this mentality of him, he was not at peace. He was never at peace, and he didn't get what he wanted also, neither his son. So he asked that, and immediately Sanjay understood whom he asked about Duryodhan. So he says this, Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tava Sishyena Dhimata. So he's telling what Duryodhan did. He went to Dronacharya. And what he did, oh Dronacharya, do you know who is the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas army? It is your disciple. He learned from you and he has made this. Who's that? Is none other than the son of Drupada. He's not even telling Drishtadyumna's name, because he's telling he's a son of Drupada. Because Dronacharya had a political quarrel with Drupada, and Drupada made a yajna. So from the yajna came twins. One is Draupadi, and then the voice said about Draupadi, what will she do in the future? And then Drishtadyumna. So Drishtadyumna, the voice in the sky said, he will be the one to kill Dronacharya. So he's born from the yajna for that by Drupada. But what did Drupada do? He sent Drishtadyumna, his son, to Dronacharya for learning the military arts. And Dronacharya, being a magnanimous person, he taught him like how he will teach his own son Ashwatthama. He didn't, keep any secrets. So Duryodhan, out of fear, he's pointing out the fault of his own guru. What did Arjuna do and Yudhishthira do? If you read in the beginning of Mahabharata, they removed their armor and their bows and arrows and the crown, and they walked through the army. First, they went to Bhishma Dev, offered his obeisances and asked his blessings. Then they went to Dronacharya, offered their obeisances, asked his blessings. And then they came back. Blessings to fight them only, nothing else. And the first arrow Arjuna put at the feet of Dronacharya. But what did Duryodhana doing? Finding fault with the magnanimous quality of Dronacharya. Except for Duryodhan, nobody wanted this war. But Duryodhan was so adamant, he wouldn't listen. And he's so taunting and pointing out. You see, most of the fights are because of that. If it is told straight on the face, it's fine. But we want to taunt. We want to see we know the soft spot of some person, we want to put a prick in that. So, sorry, he's saying that. And then he's saying that, he's saying this to hint that although Arjuna is the favorite disciple of Dronacharya, he shouldn't be lenient to them. And he's so afraid. He's telling all this, but he couldn't cover up his fear. Who will have the fear? Who is not certain of the outcome of the war? If we are not prepared for the exam, then that is fear. If a person is prepared, then he has no fear because he knows he'll definitely pass. He has prepared fully, right? So this is Duryodhana's attitude. Duryodhana's mentality was always comparing. And after that, he told, I have so many people in this side. They are all the kings. They're going to fight for me. And then there are many kings in the other side. They are going to fight for them. And this is how we are there. And he concludes his summary like this. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma birakshitam paryaptam tvaidam yetesham balam bhima birakshitam. Our uh, uh, army is protected by Bhishma. Who is Bhishma? Grandsire Bhishma. Okay, Bhishma, his own guru Parashurama, and could not defeat Bhishma Dev. And also he has a boon that he can be only he can leave his body at his own will. And compared to his experience and his how he has arranged, what is with respect to Bhima? He's a fig, actually. Nothing. He's his great grandson. And everybody is protected by the balam of Bhima. So he's comparing. This is another attitude. I have this much assets. I have this and this. And then my children are this. I'm coming from this family. I have this, that. People may not tell that directly, but indirectly they will hint you. Do you know who I am? Right? So this is Duryodhana's mentality, comparing. And then diplomacy, wanted to encourage everyone. You are good, and then he is also good. He is bad in that way. Ultimately, everybody should work for my desire. So we'll all want to be the best in the friends. So A calls to B and gossips about C, and then A calls to C and gossips about B. Make sure that B and C are not together and only A is there. And unfortunately, B also does the same, C also does the same. And this is this material world. Even Hollywood, Bollywood, Tollywood, everything is only this masala, right? So he's flattering everything. He's bragging about himself. He's covering his fear. He's insulting. He has hatred towards them. He can't control the hatred and he's jealous. Even after repeated defeats and even after seeing them noble quality, he cannot accept it. Right? Sometimes, somebody is got some position, then we would say that he got it because of this. I didn't get it because I don't have the advantage as him. Immediately, it comes as a spontaneous response. So we learn from this. See, Bhagavad Gita starts off with this introspection. It may be common to do this. Oh, the whole world is like that. It's a survival of the fittest, a rat race. But ultimately, what we are losing is our own peace and happiness. And coming with that, mental health and physical health. So all this made him to be very arrogant. And the point of arrogance is that he never thought that he was arrogant. So then, after this conversation, Krishna, so finally he goes and tells to Bhishma Dev, and Bhishma Dev knew what his grandson wanted. So he looked at him, he didn't answer. And the shloka says he started to blow the conch. So the conch shells are blown to signal that the bell has rung or it has started, the buzzer sound has done, it's a login time, it's a time to the war has started. Basically they can start moving the troops. It is a huge war, huge troops, so it will take some time to align everyone and start the war. So after Bhishma Dev starts, then everyone blows the conch shells. So then when the Pandavas blew the conch shell, Krishna and Arjuna, they are coming at this thing. So Krishna is as a chariot driver and Arjuna is in the chariot. So Krishna blows his conch shell, Panchajanya, Arjuna blows his conch shell, Devadatta and Yudhishthira, Nakula and Sahadeva. And then it is mentioned that all the Kuru warriors, their hearts were shattered. But when the Kuru warriors blew the conch shell, there is nothing like that mentioned about the Pandavas because they were confident of their victory. Why they were confident of their victory? This is the last shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhotir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Yet wherever there is Krishna, Yogeshwara, wherever there is Partha Arjuna, who is Dhanurdhara, who is expert archer, there will also be certainly four things. Shri, opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is whose opinion? Sanjaya's opinion. So, Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to be confident even in adverse situations in life because we know what we are doing, we know the Lord is there. So this is the chariot of the Lord. That is Arjuna that's described that there is Hanuman's shadow is there in the flag, and wherever there is Krishna, who's Narayana, Lakshmi Devi is also there. There is morality, there is niti, because we are all watched. Whatever actions we do, we are watched and we will surely get the result. There is a wonderful arrangement for that, which is foolproof. Okay, it's like dabba walas in Bombay, Mumbai. Your dabba will come to you, no matter what. In 100,000 dabbas going through different, train stations and passing hands. So whatever we do, it will come to us because there is a big system behind it. So morality and power, and Hanuman on Arjun's flag also signified victory. But how did our Krishna end up as a chariot driver? He is the God who's going to talk here, right? So just before the war, both Arjuna and Duryodhan visited Krishna at the same time to ask his help. Duryodhan was thinking, oh, I have to ask help from this cowherd boy. So he's going and sitting in the, Krishna was pretending to be asleep. So Duryodhan went and sat in a chair near his head side. And Arjuna, as a devotee, he sat at the feet of the Lord, first worshipped the Lord and sat at the seat of the Lord. And Lord first woke up and saw Arjuna. Oh, Arjuna, you're here. And Duryodhan said, excuse me, Krishna, I'm here before. Okay, what do you want? So we both, that we both have come to ask for help for the fight. And Duryodhan said, since I came first, I want to ask first. But Krishna said, Arjuna is younger. Younger person gets the chance first. So let him ask. Let Arjun ask. And then Krishna said, okay, I have two options. One is myself and another is my vast army. Okay. So one of you, whoever chooses myself, will not get my army, and I will not take part in the political discussions. I will not lift a weapon in the war. I will not fight for you, but probably I will clean the horses and I can be a chariot driver. Arjuna got the first chance, and Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, I just want you. Are you sure?" And Arjuna says, "Jayatu Pandu Putranam Tasham Pakshe Janardana." I just want you. And Duryodhana was relaxed. My God, oh, I got what I wanted. This fool Arjuna, he gave it to me. I got the army. That he went to Salya, he did the same thing. He went to everybody else and he amassed. And a Deva, when he was flying, he said, looking at the strength of this army, the war will be over in 3 hours and Duryodhana's and the Kauravas would win the war. So that is how Duryodhana was a diplomat garnering support. All these politicians should learn from him how to get the votes. So Arjuna, so he became a chariot driver for Arjuna. And how do you think Arjuna communicated with him? He wouldn't get down from the chariot after a namaskar and say, "Oh, please go left, please go right." That's not how it's possible. He would kick our Krishna in the left side if he has to go towards, if the chariot has to go towards the left, because there is no possibility of communication. Somebody is putting an arrow from the left, so Arjuna had to go to left, and he indicates Krishna, kicking him on the left side, go to left. If he kicks on the right, he has to go to the right. If he's kicking on the center, he's to go to the center. This is how God serves. If we try to serve him, he serves us more. If we try to serve him one step, he takes 10 steps towards us. So although he has taken the position of a chariot driver, his supreme position as the supreme personality of Godhead was not compromised. We will learn at the end of the war, when everything was over, Krishna told Arjuna, "You get down first." But actually, it's the etiquette that the chariot driver gets down first. Arjuna said to Krishna, "You get down first." But Krishna said, "No, no, Arjuna, you get down first." So after Arjuna got down and after Krishna got down, the whole chariot burnt into ashes. So that much was Krishna protecting the chariot. And so many places, if you read, half of part of Mahabharat is the war. How Krishna protected. So we can see the quality of renunciation of the Lord. Although he is a supreme Lord, he is willing to become a devotee of his devotee, serving his devotee. So then Arjuna is saying that, "Please draw my chariot between both the armies," so that he wants to make a estimation of who has come to fight. That was his first thing. And then Krishna said, this is only the half of the shloka Krishna speaks in the whole of the first chapter. And he says to Arjuna, "Okay, come. Arjuna, just see them." So what did Arjuna see? So we saw Dhritarashtra's mentality. We saw Duryodhana's attitude. And we'll see in contrast what is Arjuna's attitude. Arjuna is crying. Why is he crying? Arjuna faced the same people in the Virata, when he was in incognito at the end of the period of the exile was going to over, he was able to face. A warrior doesn't cry out of cowardice. But you know what? He is under deep stress because he's pulled by two things. When he's seeing them, he's seeing, it's not easy to take one death from a close family member, right? It puts us in a shock state for some time. And he's seeing the whole of the family members in different names. They've all come here willing to fight. And it's not this computer video game fight that you die and then you get the next life. You die, you get the next life, another chance. No, there's only one chance. That means either he is going to live, or if he has to win the war, it should be at the expense of their. And who are there? Is Revered Bhishma and Dronacharya. So he had choice. He had to choose between giving up his duty of fighting so that he can serve the elders, or he has to fight the elders for whom he lived to serve the whole life. So it is like he reached a dead end both ways. So if I fight, if I win also, it's a dead end. If I lose also, I'm not going to be happy. So he was not willing to face the challenge. So sometimes, like it is like if we take a butterfly in our hand, if we hold it too tightly, we may inadvertently squeeze the life of the butterfly. So similarly, we have some plans and we all have to work for it. We have to avoid distractions. But there are so many things that beyond our control. The plans may not work. It may come to a halt. It may be so many surprises. But at that time, we should not give up the willingness to continue planning, because we should see the hand of higher plan of God in that. And that's what we learn from Arjuna's mentality. Arjuna was not crying for himself. He was overcome by the fighting spirit of the relatives. He's seeing, I mean, my body is quivering, my mouth drying up. Throughout the whole of Mahabharata, you will not see Arjuna like this at all anywhere. Okay, so he's why he doesn't. He thought, and he's telling so many reasons. First thing is his compassion, not only for his soldiers, for the soldiers of the opposite party also. And then he says, even if I win this kingdom, Arjuna, Krishna, it would be at the cost of the lives of Dronacharya and Bhishma. So it is like tainted with their blood. So every time I see this kingdom, if you see a blood stain of someone, would you like to see that? I'm not going to be happy by winning this kingdom. And then it is not that he had a, dementia. He forgot what happened before. What did they do to them? What did they do to his wife? He's telling that there are 6 types of aggressors. Okay, we may argue that, Duryodhan did all this, so he can be killed. But he says forgiveness is a greater quality. So why do this? They don't know what is the result of the war that's coming, and foolishly they're ready for the war. And I can see he's a far sight person. He can see ahead in the future. So he's sorry. So he is saying that, Krishna, would you fight with your grandfather and Guru? You are supposed to bring me good fortune. You're the husband of Lakshmi as Narayana, and I'm surprised that you are asking me to fight, which will bring only misfortune. And what happens? All the men are here. The elder men are dead. If they are dead, what will happen to their family? Who will protect the woman? So women will be polluted. Unwanted progeny will come. And because of the unwanted progeny, they will not think community welfare projects. So all these things, he's thinking about the next generation and the previous generation. Who will give them ceremony of offering them food and water called Shraddha? That will also be stopped, because nobody will know. There won't be any religious head to say, you do this, don't do this, all because of this war, Krishna. Isn't it logical? Right? It's very logical, very morally right, uh, uh, very religiously right, what Arjuna is saying. And he's saying from the platform of compassion, and he has a soft heart, not only for himself, for others also. So for such a person who has a soft heart, he is ready to receive Bhagavad Gita. Many people ask why Krishna chose Arjuna to tell Bhagavad Gita, because of all these wonderful qualities. But you can see that Krishna has not started answering yet. But finally, he decided not to fight. Arjuna, Sanjay is concluding the first chapter telling, Evam uktva Arjuna sankye ratopasta upavishat Vishrujya sa sharam chapam shoka sambigna manasaha. It's chapter 1, text 46. And how to read this in English? In the book, in the back side, there is a Sanskrit pronunciation guide. If you see that, you will understand that there it is given there how the transliteration is happening. For example, the hyphen on top of